What's poppin', everybody? This is Sabro54. Got a new deck to show you guys today. Now that Silver Tempest is out, I managed to get the Claydols. Very easy to get, just an uncommon card. And managed to build a deck with this dude and the Stonjourner, as they want us to use these cards together. Another uncommon card, so very easy deck to build from the set. I had a chance to play test with it a little bit, and it's not all that bad. I mean, it's not going to be top tier, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it possibly could have been, because you can't run any supporters in this deck. So this is an energy acceleration fighting deck for the most part. Claydol, this new card with a mystery charge, is very similar to Fluffy, Malamar, Electric, and other energy acceleration Pokemon from before it. You grab a fighting energy from the discard pile and attach it to one of your Pokemon. Now, the difference is you get to utilize fighting energies, which is usually a type that doesn't get any energy acceleration at all. And you can actually put the energy on any Pokemon. Benched Pokemon, active Pokemon, doesn't matter. So we have this benefit. Now, the drawback to this card, though, is in order to be able to use this effect, you must have no supporters in your discard pile. So this basically forces you to build the deck in a way that you're not going to have any supporters. It was a nice little creative challenge, but it's also a big drawback. Obviously, the rules for the Pokemon TCG, you can play a supporter card, one supporter card every turn, and it's a big part of our game. Supporters are strong, so just not being able to utilize any of them in the whole game just naturally puts us at a disadvantage in terms of consistency. You also won't be able to use boss's orders. We lose the opportunity to pull. You know, a lot of these drawbacks that you're going to have to deal with if you're going to use Claydol. Now, the main Pokemon we're going to power up with Claydol, yeah, and utilize with Claydol is this Stonjourner from the same set. It's a basic Pokemon, 130 HP, stuff you would expect, even though it's not a legendary. It's not as good as it used to be when Black and White came out, you know, that kind of HP. These days, all of these guys are going to die in one shot. But the Mystery Press attack is quite good. It does 60 for 3, but if you have no supporters in your discard pile, it's going to do 190 for 3. So for just a regular Pokemon that we can easily power up with Claydol, this is very respectable damage. It's going to give us 2-hit KOs on every Pokemon, basically. So that's pretty good. That's basically the main combo. I've got some other Pokemon too. But for the Claydol line, I do 3. I thought of doing 4, but it really isn't necessary. And after playing with the deck a little bit, you're barely going to have space for this, Bibarel, and all the other stuff. So 3 should be good enough. If you get your manual attachments, grab 1 or 2 energies per turn, you should be good. So just do 3. Its spinning attack it's really bad. But I mean, I guess it could have been worse. Just 70 for 3. It's sad, man. It's sad when Claydol, the really good ability one from Great Encounters more than 10 years ago, used to do 40 for 2. That would have been 1/3 of a level X Pokemon with 110 HP, 120 HP. This, if you're going to hit a V-Star or a V-Max with this, you're going to have to hit them 4 to 5 times to get a KO. So it just goes to show you how they're not powering up the regular Pokemon as much as they should have. 110 HP is also really low, and it's kind of inconvenient in the sense that because it's a 110 HP Pokemon, it barely has any difference with 90 HP. It's still going to die in one shot, but we can't use Level Ball to get this guy. But what can you do? The Balto I'm choosing for this deck is this one with 60 HP that is a Psychic type. This makes it so that I can use Fog Crystal to grab this guy too. So that's good enough. There's another one with 70 HP, but I'd rather get the little downgrade and have an additional search card to get this dude. So Psychic Baltoy. And then the other attackers, I've got some other backup attackers too. I've got this one Terrakion, also from this new set. This guy can do Cavern Tackle. It's 120 for 3. It's not great, but if you do this, you prevent all damage from attacks done to this Pokemon, and you basically can't use this next turn. So I don't think this is as good, or as consistent at least, as what Cobalion used to do, 80 for 3, and then your opponent's Pokemon can't attack at all. But it's something close, and hopefully we can just retreat and use a different attacker, and also save this dude as well. But it's another fighting Pokemon, 130 HP, you know, might as well. Speaking of which, I thought of, as you guys can see, it's all regular Pokemon. I thought of maybe putting the usual, you know, Rhyperior, putting stuff like Urshifu, Single Strike Urshifu VMAX, but it will make the deck a lot more inconsistent if you're going to put more evolutions like VMAXs or V-Stars that are fighting. Just very inconsistent. More space you got to burn. So I decided against it. I just thought I'd make an anti-meta sort of rogue deck, all regular Pokemon, only going to give out one prize that can dish out high damage, and hopefully it works. And it kind of did. The deck did okay so far in the matches that I played. But I mean, obviously, it's not the best thing in the world. As for the other final attacker, I've got two Zygarde. This one is from Vivid Voltage. It has a weaker attack than Stonjourner, but I only have two Stonjourners. I can't believe it. But just an uncommon card from such a huge set. It's not a surprise. So I did two of this guy. I guess this guy has 20 more HP and can do 1 for 30. Stonjourner does 1 for 20 in the beginning. But yeah, weakness is the same. Retreat is basically worse. But if you're losing, you're doing 160 for 3, which is also quite respectable. So we're going to use this dude. Hopefully if our opponent is ahead of us, which should be common by the time we set up. They might get KOs on our Pokemon, especially with such low HP. So that's why this guy's in here. But obviously if you've got Stonjourner, a playset, you run a playset of this guy and drop this dude. Perhaps. Alright, and then the other Pokemon are going to be support. The really big one here is going to be this Bibarel. I do a 3-2 Bibarel line. I got the 3 Bidoofs here, and then Bibarel. So, this deck, it obviously isn't going to have supporters. That's the whole gimmick. So an ability Pokemon like this Bibarel is extremely crucial. It's pretty much mandatory. The problem is, after your opponent figures out what your deck is, that it's Claydol, you know, no supporters, then all cannons are going to be aimed at this Bibarel, and your opponent's going to try and get rid of it, shut down your draw power. That's going to suck, but hopefully we manage to get a little bit of setup, get the Claydols at least out before this dude dies. But I have to. We want to get this guy as soon as possible and draw cards. A lot of the times when you use Bibarel, when I use this in other decks, sometimes it conflicts with your supporter, so just having this and no supporters, you know, it can work. I mean, it's not unworkable as it appears. I have a lot of other item-based draw and other, you know, quick search cards, quick draw cards, so we can get by as a sort of fast ability item-based draw deck. But this guy is definitely important. It's a stage 1. You probably don't want to do like the new Beautifly that is a stage 2. Just going to give you an extra card, and then you got to run candies and shit. Not worth it at all. Just, you're better off running Bibarel. And something like the Cinccino or the Purloin. Purloin is actually the first form, but the big cat, Dark Cat from Gen 5. You can do that, you know, discard a card, draw 2. But I think that's a bit too weak, especially because we're not going to have any supporters. It's not like I'm going to have a lot of hand build up. So just drawing 2, having to discard a card. You can discard energies, but I mean, this guy's going to do the job for them, to be honest. So Radiant Greninja, also a card in here. Going to give us that nice ability draw with concealed cards. Discards an energy to combo with Claydol and gives a solid draw. So one of this, just a basic Pokemon. You have to run it. It makes perfect sense. Too good not to run. So we do this, and the barrel. Hopefully it's good enough to keep us consistent enough, give us draw power. All right, and then Manaphy, just on bench defense for the occasional snipers you may face. Have this probably most of the time. You're not gonna even put it down once you figure out what your opponent is using. But I have it just in case. I mean, I wouldn't blame people if they wanted to take this out and put something else that's more useful, but I want to have it because everybody's small, so especially if you play against Rapid Strike Urshifu, then they're going to target this dude, you're toast basically. So have the Manaphy, it can come up. Alright, now trainer cards. On the bright side, I guess, I mean, because we don't run any supporters, you have a lot of space for different shit, so it's going to be a lot of different trainer cards. Mostly for consistency, though. So Quick Ball is maxed out as a discard outlet, and to get all of the basic Pokemon that we need, get the Ball Toys, the Barrel, the Bidoofs, and then our attackers. So max it out, level ball, same thing. Have a bunch of small Pokemon you want to dig out, so you max this out. It's basically 6-7 targets with the Manaphy. That it's going to be very occasional. And then the one Fog Crystal, just something extra once again to dig out Baltoy. Just no cost, pretty good. Max out the Evolution Incense, no questions asked. Fastest way to get the barrel and get the Claydols too for our energy acceleration and draw. Gotta have this. And then gotta do double Ultra Ball as well. Heavy duty discard outlet. This card can sting a little bit if you don't really have much going on and you don't have the barrel, but usually what you're gonna do is use this to get the barrel. So it's gonna sort of replenish your hand even after all of your heavy discarding. It's usually what you want to do most of the time. Use this to get the barrel, discard outlet. Can get any Pokemon, so it doesn't matter. So 2 of this, I think it should be good enough. You can do 3, you can do 4 if you want, but you have to take out some different cards. So 2 is good enough. I think we get by. We have some other cards as well to help us. And then the one Boost Shake, speaking of which. So this is actually one of the decks, one of the very, very few decks, because it's a very rare case for me, that there is 0 benefit in going second because we don't have any supporters. I guess you can attack and do 20 for 1 if you play second and start with this dude or this dude. But for the most part, if we can play first, we're going to want to play first. And it's a habit of mine to always play second, so sometimes I use this deck and I misclick and decide to go second on TCG Online. But playing first is what you want to do. And if we play first, we get to utilize this Boost Shake too. You search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from our dudes, evolve into it, and then our turn ends. So it's basically like a Wally. If you can't do much, if you can't really attack, it's not going to bother us. So I thought I'd put one of these. Another method to hopefully quickly get the barrel out. It's like a third Ultra Ball with no cost, you could say. So that's why I have it here. Got a little bit of energy searching too, as usual with these decks. Energy search. Draw a search card, give me the fighting energies, discard them. Usual combos. Deck thinner card, of course. So I have this. And then we have some straight item-based draw. We max out this trekking shoes card. I didn't really get to utilize this card ever since it came out, but this is a great deck to do so. Draw a card. If it's not what you want and you don't mind discarding it, you can discarding it and draw a new card. So it's really good. Usually you're going to do this if you reveal a fighting energy. You want to discard it and then draw an additional card. So it quickly thins up your deck and gives you draw, which is really good. I mean, we have the space, might as well run this. Make ourselves as fast as possible. Good card. All right. Some standard techs. Claydol is good in the sense that you can put energies on the active Pokemon, so you don't have to worry about switching around too much, but it's still good to have some switching outlets, especially for the barrel. Promote something when something dies, so I do the double air balloon. It's still kind of standard in this deck. And then I do 1 switch and 1 scoop up net, since all of our Pokemon are regular. Maybe you can take out a switch or this, put something else, but I think 4 switching outlets is still good enough in this deck. Alright. Got some other techs, I guess, for disruption. Tool Scrapper. Maybe get rid of some tools. Good enough, I guess, just 1 copy. You could take it out for more consistency cards, as always. And then I think the last thing are my stadiums, but I also got the Ordinary Rod. This is for recovery. Mostly Pokemon recovery, because I don't know if you guys noticed, I only have 5 attackers that are also regular Pokemon. They're going to be dying in 1 shot. So if we can't get over the game with these 5 dudes, like the Stonjourners, Terrakion, and then these guys, the Zygardes, we're going to be in trouble. Everybody else doesn't have good attacks. Barbaro has a shit attack, of course, as well. This guy's attack isn't so great, but at least it's not completely unusable. Just a vanilla 70 attack. But it's not really, they're not really heavy-duty attackers. So we're probably going to have to recover Stonjourner at some point in the game, or maybe even this dude. So that's why the Ordinary Rod is in here. Usually you won't really want to get basic energies back in the deck, but I guess the option is there too. Alright, and then stadium cards, I do the 1 Dynatry Heal. This doesn't affect me, but against big decks with big ass Pokemon, V-Stars, V-Maxes, if they want to heal, it's going to fuck us up. Especially because I don't have Boss's Orders in this deck. So I guess this might help, but it's a counter stadium at the end of the day. And then the Path to the Peak. I only have 1 card this stadium affects, and that's Greninja. But once we get set up, you may not even need this guy, or you may not even have this guy around. This can definitely hurt the opposition more. You know, V-Stars, negate their shit. So it is in here. To be honest, if it wasn't for Radiant Greninja, I'd probably do like 2 or 3 of this, as I usually do in my regular decks. But just 2 stadiums is enough for this deck. And this is the Claydol deck, basically. Rogue deck, anti-meta deck, all regular Pokemon, no supporters, giving us a big handicap. But it's the only way to make this dude work. Mayhaps in the future, I may do like a Claydol deck and put like Rhyperior V's in or some different Pokemon. But to be honest, they don't really do the job. Rhyperior, it's a good little V Pokemon, but it just doesn't do enough damage to get 1-hit KOs, even if you give it extra support like Choice Belt. And you have to eat up more space. It's going to give away 2 prizes. So if I'm going to be getting 2-hit KOs with that guy anyway, you might as well use a Pokemon like this instead. And for VMAXs or V-Stars, it's more evolutions on top of other evolutions. We have 2 evolution lines in here as it is. It's too inconsistent. You can try and do like Single Strike Urshifu VMAX, but what's even the point? You might as well just do the Houndoom as you would normally do at that point. So I don't see any rule box Pokemon that are worth using with this dude. I don't know if people want to try out Aerodactyl, but not really digging that option too much. I mean, they gave this dude as a regular dude for Claydol, and I think there's a reason for it. It's probably the best option. Okay. So this is the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the matches as always. What